Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Townsville Stormwatch and surrounding districts cyclone update. Tonight, the 9th of April 2014. My name is Nathan, and tonight, well, we're going to be talking about Cyclone Ita. Having a look at the cyclone forecast map brought out by the Bureau of Meteorology at 4:44 p.m. this afternoon, and we can see here that Cyclone Ita is still a Category 3 system. Tomorrow or overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning, it starts adopting a west to southwesterly track. And by 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, it is expected to intensify into a Category 4 system. And then it continues this southwesterly track through into tomorrow afternoon, and then into Friday morning at 4 a.m. just off the coast here around the Lockhart River area, but developing more of a southerly track. So now it's into a very southwest direction. And then at 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Friday, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Friday afternoon. I'm getting my dates confused. Still a Category 4 system. And then by 4 a.m. Saturday morning, it is expected to have made landfall as a Category 4 system between Cape, Melville, and Cooktown. And then it pretty much rapidly de-intensifies into a Category 2 system by 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. If we have a look now at the rainfall predictions from the Bureau of Meteorology, and what we can see here is tomorrow, Thursday, we can see that there is quite some decent falls happening here to the north of Cowan, and also there's a little bit happening between Cape Melville right down through to about Innisfail tomorrow as Cyclone Ita approaches closer to the coast. Of course, a lot of its action is still happening at the centre of the system, which is lying just off the coast here near Cowan. Now, if we look into Friday, we can see that rainfall with the system that was out here is now moved pretty close to the coast. Some of it is just hitting around the Cape Melville sort of area, but anywhere from about just under the tip of Cape York through down to around about Ingham can be expecting some quite heavy falls from the 25mm plus margin. If we now look into Saturday, and we can see that activity has moved south now, and the majority of the action is happening now between Innisfail and just south of Cooktown. But what we can also see is that anywhere just north of Cowan through to around about just north of Rockhampton can be expecting to experience 10mm of rain and plus, but areas between Ingham and near Cooktown can be experiencing between 100mm plus of rainfall on Saturday. Now into Sunday, and what we can see is that a lot of that rain activity has once again just dissipated. But having said that, though, it all depends on where Cyclone Ita is at that moment. If Ita decides that she is going to adopt a westerly track over the peninsula or the Cape York Peninsula, then on Sunday we can expect a lot of the rainfall to be here between Kawawama and Mornington, well, not Mornington Island, but around the Kawawama area. If Ita decides to attract more of a recurve sort of section and head south and then east, we can see that a lot of the rain will be now situated here between just south of Townsville through to just south of Mackay, with places such as Cairns, Innisfail, Tully, Ingham, Townsville, still expecting around about 25 mils of rain on Sunday. Now, if we have a look at the 4 days between the 13th of April through to the 16th, and what we can see here is that a lot of rain activity happening here around in the lower Burdekin area right down through to around about the perhaps the bottom of the Carpentaria districts. And as we said before, depending on where Ita is, there could also be some activity happening up here in the Eastern Gulf area. If we now look for the 8-day period, so this is looking at from today right through until the 16th of April, and we can see, as we've said before, depending on where Ita is, there could be a lot of rainfall here in the eastern area of the Gulf districts. There could also be a lot of rain here from just below the very tip of northern Queensland, right down the coast here, down to around about Rockhampton, even further south than that. So this system could prove to be quite a good rain system, just depending on which track it chooses to take. Having a look now at the satellite images of tropical cyclone Ita, and we can see that here it is spinning away there, and quite some good convection sort of happening. At this stage, we can't really see an eye to the system in these images here, but we can certainly see that there is a lot of circulation happening around, just around this area here. It has moved away from the little islands, which was hampering its efforts to develop a fairly conclusive eye. So it started to move away from that now, and as it continues to intensify, we should start to see the center of the system really starting to tighten up, and we should start seeing the eye of the system developing very soon. If we have a look now at the sea surface temperatures for this system, and at the moment, Cyclone Ita is sitting in that area there, and as we can see, there's some very nice colours of dark reds and light reds and little bits of orange, which signifies that there is absolutely nothing wrong with the sea surface temperatures for this system whatsoever. We now have a look at the relative humidity for this system, and again, the system is sitting in about this area here, and we can see that there is a lot of this blue type color all around it at the moment. There is this drier air area here, and as we have said before, cyclones absolutely hate this pinkish sort of color, because that does represent low humidity in the atmosphere. So we have that is lying to its west and to its south, and a little bit to its east as well. But if we have a look at what happens as this cyclone continues its track towards the Queensland coast, and we now have a look at Thursday morning, and I'll just take that off. We can see that as the system continues its track towards the Queensland coast, that it's actually dragging the moisture with it as well. If we now continue having a look to see what happens into Friday morning, and as I said, we can see that this pink area is trying to wrap itself around the system. If it does actually come into the system, it's going to be a good night to the cyclone. So we'll just keep an eye on that as we continue going through till Saturday morning. By this time, it is expected that the cyclone has made landfall, and we can see that it is still keeping this strong tongue of moist air, dragging it into the system and not allowing this dry air to really penetrate it all that much at this stage. And just to have a look into Sunday morning, and we can see that Sunday morning that it's still connected with this tongue of moist air that's coming in here from the tropics, and possibly as part of the monsoon trough, and it's just keeping that moisture feeding into it with this dry air, trying its very best to try and wrap into it and kill the system. But at this stage, it looks as if the system is strong enough to defend itself from that dry air. Okay, so let's now have a look at the bomb's axis regional models to see where they predict that this system is going to head to. So at 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, the cyclone was here just off the coast of Queensland at 996 hectopascals. As we now go into Thursday morning, and we can see that over Thursday it doesn't really do a lot. It does move towards the west and then starts adopting that southwesterly track, and then come on Friday. We'll stop here on Friday morning just to see what's happening with the system. Then Friday morning they're saying that it'll be 989 hectopascals, and right on the coast here on the tip of the Cape York Peninsula. Then into Saturday morning, and we can see that the bomb is expecting that this system will cross the peninsula and head into the Gulf of Carpentaria, where it looks as if it could be set to re-intensify once again, and then right through just to about 10 o'clock Saturday morning, and we can see that the system continues to move even further west into the Gulf of Carpentaria. Having a look now at the European model to see where they predict that this system is going to head over the next few days, and this is here at 9 o'clock tonight, and we can see the cyclone Ita is still off the coast here, way up above the Cooktown, well, north of Cooktown and north of Lockhart River. Now let's have a look into Thursday morning at 6 a.m. and we can see that the system continues to move in a west direction, fairly well due west. It's not going south at all at this stage, and getting closer to the coast. If we now progress it through till Friday morning at 6 o'clock, and what we can see is that it does now start to adopt more of a southwesterly direction, and it strikes right here on the tip of Lakefield National Park. If we're just coming closer, we'll get an exact spot. It's right here in the Cape Melville kind of area. So that's where it's predicted to be hitting, according to the European. Then after 6 o'clock on Friday, we go through till Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, and we can see that the system goes further inland, and just sits there as it continues to go a little bit further south. It just kind of sits there, but it has lost all intensity at this stage. Then on Sunday morning at 6, we can see that the system then just kind of sits inland there for a little bit, and then it decides that it's going to adopt this more southeasterly sort of direction as it kind of heads back out towards the coast area. Then on Sunday morning at 6, we can see that the system does make it back out into the waters there, just off the coast of Queensland, just south of Cairns, and it seems to want to start to develop once again. So that's as far as we're going to take it at this stage, because by Monday we are really sort of clutching at straws to exactly what this system is going to do. So according to the European model, the system is going to make this westerly direction for a lot of its time, and then as it approaches the coast, it's going to then adopt a bit of a southwesterly direction, hit here around the Cape Melville, that sort of area, and then come inland, lose its structure, then recurve back and head east back out to just south of Cairns, and looks as if it wants to redevelop itself there. Now, if we look at what the precipitation is going to be like for this system during its lifetime, and here we have at 6 o'clock tonight, we can see that a lot of its intense moisture is here in its eastern, northern, and southern sort of region. We do have some lighter stuff just starting to hit the coast there a little bit, but nothing too exciting to write home about at this stage. 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we've got the system continuing its approach. These rainfall figures here are becoming a little bit less isolated, but they're still quite light. They're between the 0.5 to 0.1 of a mil at this time, with a lot of its moisture still happening there with the system. 6 o'clock Friday morning, and we can see that the system has pretty much, or is very close to making landfall there. A lot of its activity is happening here on its western side, so anywhere north of the Cape Melville area, and also a lot of its activity is still happening just off the coast there. Then into 6 o'clock on Saturday morning, and we can see that the system brings its moisture along with it into the inland a little bit. It lessens off as it hits the land and makes and goes further inland. That rain activity does die off a little bit. There's still some coastal showers happening around in this area there. Sunday morning at 6, we can see that the system starts adopting that more easterly track, and as it does, it brings some more moisture here in the Cairns area right down through to about the Innisfail type area. A lot of rainfall happening there. And then on Monday at 6 o'clock, we can see that the system has well and truly taken most of the moisture that was associated with it offshore. A little bit of moisture happening here between Mackay and Bowen, but not a lot there, and just these very isolated areas of patchy light rain. So that was the Euro. Let's have a look now at the GFS, and we can see that the GFS has the cyclone pretty much where the European had it, just sitting off here off the coast of Queensland and just south there of Port Moresby. We track through to Thursday morning at 6 o'clock, and we can see that the system continues to develop this westerly track towards the Queensland coast. Come Friday morning at 6, and we can see that the system has now just started to adopt more of a southwesterly track, and actually seems to intensify as it does do that, and is just sitting here south of that Cape Melville area here at 6 o'clock on Friday morning. I don't think it's quite made landfall at this stage, but very, very close to it. Then if we look for Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, and we can see that the cyclone just wants to cling onto the coast for dear life and not move very far away from it at all. Kind of does make landfall. It's half on the land and half in the water at this stage as it heads south of Cairns, still packing some huge winds around on its eastern and northern and southern sides, which could potentially also be affecting the land mass at this time. Then we have a look now into Sunday morning at 6, and we can see that the system is continuing to hug the coast, but as it does so, as it passes the Townsville area, it's it's still hugging the coast, but it is getting a little further east by this time. So come 6 o'clock Sunday morning, and the system has started to adopt more of an easterly direction, more than, well, a southeasterly direction more than a southerly direction. And then Monday morning at 6, we can see that the system pushes off the coast and kind of then just moves in that southeasterly direction away from the Queensland coast. And by Monday morning at 6 o'clock, we can see that the system is down around in the Brisbane area, but well off the coast there as it continues in that southeasterly to easterly direction. So now we look at the precipitation according to the GFS. We can see that at 9 o'clock tonight that a lot of its precipitation is offshore here, not much reaching the coast at all by 9 o'clock tonight. 6 o'clock on Thursday morning, and that precipitation continues to head towards the Queensland coast. We have a nice little bit of a feeder band happening here to its south, just coming out there, but still a lot of its activity still offshore. Then we look into Friday morning at 6 o'clock, and what we can see is that a lot of its moisture is now hitting the coast here, anywhere north of about that Cape Melville area, and right through down. If we just have a bit more of a look here, down towards the Cairns area, but not quite reaching Cairns. And that feeder band is still here to its south between Cairns and the Townsville area. So that area could be expecting quite a lot of rainfall at around about 6 o'clock Friday morning. Now, if we go forward now through till 6 o'clock on Saturday morning, and we can see that the system, as it starts to make its southerly track down along the coast, a lot of its rainfall now happening here between Cairns and Townsville, and Townsville is starting to pick up on its rain amounts at this stage, but still nothing compared to what's happening here between Cairns and Townsville. That feeder band has kind of detached itself a little bit from the system, but is still there just off the coast there, south of Mackay. We look now into Sunday morning at 6, and what we can see happening is that the system does actually move quite quickly in this coastal hugging that's happening, and by 6 o'clock Sunday morning we can see that a lot of its activity is now happening between Mackay and Rockhampton. They're getting absolutely smashed with this really dark to light red type of scenario here, which means that they're getting between 2 to 3 mils of rain in a very, very short very short time. At least I do believe that's mils. But anyway, it's getting a lot of the rain from this system at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And now let's just have a look at Monday at 6 o'clock to see where the activity is going to go. And pretty much by 6 o'clock Monday morning, there's only light coastal isolated showers as that system sits well off the coast of Queensland at that. I just thought I'd give you a quick look of what this system looks like with the winds that are around this system, and we can see that the system lies right here, just to the south there of the Port Moresby kind of area, but quite strong winds just coming in and wrapping themselves around this system quite tightly. So it is quite a very strong looking system at this stage. Now just having a look at the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre's forecast map for this Cyclone Ita, and we can see that at the present they have the cyclone sitting here just to the south or southeast of the Port Moresby mountainous region there. Then they predict that it's going to make that westerly shift, but they're also saying that it's going to start its south to southwesterly drift a little bit earlier as it continues to approach the coast. And then they actually keep it off land. They don't make a landfall for this system, but then they just bring the system down down the Queensland coastline. So very interesting track if that one comes off. Well, that's all we have time for tonight. So thank you for watching, and our next cyclone video update will be tomorrow night. It may be a little bit later than what tonight has been, but we will be putting a video update. So thanks for watching, and if you'd like to support our work that we do for you, please take the time to show your appreciation by donating to us through our PayPal link or clicking on our PayPal tab under our cover photo on our Facebook page. So thank you once again, and good night.